Atomos Ninja V. I think it's the best video related item I ever bought. Actually, I haven't planned to buy Atomos at all, but when I got my Atom Mini Pro, I got a problem with compatibility between Atom Mini and my monitor, so I haven't been able to output anything via HDMI from Atom Mini Pro. So Atomos has been very expensive solution to that. Basically, I just use this as a HDMI signal router. So I plugged in the signal from the Atom Mini Pro, and actually I got everything on my monitor when I got monitor connected to the Ninja V. And additionally, I've been able to monitor on the Ninja V from Atom Mini. They together create some kind of the travel-friendly setup for streaming, although I haven't used that in such scenario yet. When I've seen that Atom Mini is not compatible with any of my monitors, then I bought this instantly and got it the next day. But actually, I haven't used it that much with Atom Mini Pro. I used it mostly with Sony a6400 and Sony a6600. And why I think this is the best video related device I have ever bought? Because it is. The quality of this thing is really amazing. It is built from metal with some plastic elements, and I got it for more than a year and it works flawlessly. But I think the most iconic thing about the Atomos Ninja V is that the Atomos releases new firmware every week, and this is not because there is some bug or something, but they create new features. They support almost every new camera which is on the market, and with this device you are able to record raw footage from almost every new camera from the market. So some cameras are not even able to record raw footage internally, but with the Atomos you are able to record this externally. I do not use this feature because I got a6600, which does not record any raw. It only records 8-bit 420 footage, and even via HDMI it is still 420. But with Atomos I got possibility to record in different codecs than the internal codec of MP4, which is H.264 in case of a6600, and it's really annoying to edit. Even on a powerful computer with NVIDIA RTX card, it is somewhat laggy. But if I record with this, either DNX or ProRes, then editing is like really good experience because it is flawless. And actually I can just connect this drive directly to my computer, and I do not have to copy any footage from the drive or from the SD card to the computer to start editing it. I can just edit it straight from the drive, and then when I'm done I just delete it and that's it. I rarely archive the footage unless there is something that I can reuse. So at the moment I'm crying internally because I'm recording internally on the a6600, and then I will have to deal with this annoying codec in post. So you can check the specs. There are plenty of reviews, but I'd say if you got any 4K camera, you should get this. If your camera records 8K or 4K 120, then there is a newer version of this device, which is I think Atomos Ninja V Plus. But if you got something that records 4K up to 60p, the original Ninja is enough. And whenever there is a new camera, they release an update to support this camera, and actually it is quite amazing. They also introduced some additional features like new codecs lately and time-lapse feature. So I'd say the Atomos got the best support for their devices. Maybe not all of their devices are supported that way, but Ninja V is like an example for every company how the devices should be handled and how the support should be created for their device. It's not like the Sony releases new camera every half a year and adds feature which could be included in the firmware update, but they basically force you to buy a new camera because they are either too lazy or probably they got such a business model to like push new stuff via features which could be included in the old hardware, which is quite annoying. So I probably used like 20% of the capabilities of this monitor slash recorder. I mostly record basketball games in S-Log 3 cine mode to grade them in post to match my Blackmagic 6K, and I think it's the easiest format to match 6K in post. And also when I'm using the external drive to record, it's a breeze to edit. First of all, it's a breeze to edit because the codec is much smoother to edit. I use ProRes 422, but also I don't have to copy anything from SD card and I'm just editing straight from the drive. So when I'm recording via HDMI from A6600, I do not gain almost any quality advantage because A6600 records both internally 820 and externally. So there is no gain regarding the color compression, for example. And it is still 8-bit footage in both scenarios. But there is a small update regarding the quality because, for example, ProRes RAW use less compression than the internal codec, which means there are less artifacts and less visible compression from the footage. And it actually is much better to edit because it is lighter codec, so it is lighter for the CPU or GPU to decode. And for powering, I use NPF batteries, 5200 milliamps. It is, when it was new, I've been able to record for 2 hours, maybe even like 2 hours and 5 minutes on the Atomos, and with the 10k milliamps it was 3 hours and 50 minutes, so plenty. You also got the battery eliminator with the Atomos. It is included in the kit, but when I recorded from Sony 6600 I got a really weird noise recorded onto the track, both external and internal, which is a bit annoying. Might be the case that this is that the power bar is faulty and it introduces some external noise via power connection. Hard to say. When I use batteries I do not encounter this problem, so although using the power supply is probably a better option if you only record indoors, because then you do not have to buy any of these batteries, although these are like $25 and the big one is like $50, so not that expensive, although if you need few of them then it becomes expensive. And I use some tools of the monitor, so magnification. Unfortunately the Ninja V is only 2 times magnification, but in most cases it is enough, especially if you use with the camera with autofocus. For Blackmagic 6K I get 7-inch monitor because recording to Atomos from Blackmagic, there is no use to do it because Blackmagic outputs only HD signal via HDMI, so it is only for monitoring, not for the recording. And actually 6K can record directly to USB device with 6K and raw footage, so Atomos is not a good choice for recording in that case. But for any other cameras it is really good tool for both monitoring and recording, and it speeds up your workflow exponentially. So as I said, I'm crying internally because I would have to edit this footage which is recorded internally on A6600. So I want to keep this video as short as possible to avoid editing long footage shot on SD card. So in Poland at the moment I think it is $700, quite expensive, but if you can afford it I recommend this because it speeds your workflow very much. So it is, now I cannot imagine recording directly on the SD card. Yes, it's still possible to record to SD card, then copy it, then edit this, but doing this via Atomos is a different story. And I recommend getting at least one 2 terabyte drive. With ProRes 422, I can record like 9 hours of footage on the drive. Originally, I got 500 gigabytes drive, and this Crucial MX 500, and I got the same Crucial MX 500 but 2 terabyte version here because it's quite cheap. Yes, the TPD ratio of this drive is not the best, but if you want something with better TPD ratio terabytes per day, that means you have to spend like twice as much. So actually I opted for the bigger drive, and if this fails, I can, for the price I would pay for something better than this, I can buy another one. So it is quite sensible to get this one. But I recommend 2 terabyte version, at least one. The annoying thing is that you have to use these caddies, and first of all, the 5 caddies cost like 40 bucks, so they are quite expensive. And second of all, not every external SATA cable is compatible with the caddy. I only found like 1 out of 4 I bought which is compatible, so quite annoying, although it's possible to find some. And the original one from Atomos is like 100 and something bucks, and those third-party cables which are compatible are like 10 bucks. So I don't know why they got that pricey docking station, which is basically USB to SATA cable, but probably because you have to get a special kind of the connector, because the SATA connector in the caddy is recessed, so you need a really long connector to be able to actually connect this to your computer. So that's the annoying part of those caddies. And of course you can unscrew the screws and remove the drive from the caddy, but then it would slow down your workflow. But generally, even if you do not use features like ProRes RAW recording or any other features that are introduced here, just the workflow is worth buying it, especially if you are limited by the codecs in your camera. So I'd say it's worth having, both for monitoring purposes and recording, because it speeds up your workflow and it's basically very, very useful. And as a side feature, if you review cameras, you can record HDMI output with the screen layout. So you can, for example, showcase how the autofocus works, how some features on a screen works, which is very, very useful. So that's another feature of this device. Anyway, I guess that's it. Highly recommended. Cheers, mate.